Hola y bienvenidos de nuevo a una nueva entrega de Vamos a Probar. En esta ocasión vamos a probar The Beginner's Guide, que estoy viendo en Game Over, que es un podcast barra programa de videojuegos humorístico, que mejor ir sin preconcepciones y ver qué pasaba. Es del mismo creador de Stanley Parable, que es un juego que ya tratamos aquí. Y vamos a ver de qué tal va. Inicio el juego, vamos a ver. 10. Me parece que es un poco freeform por lo que he visto. Asegúrate que el sonido está activado. Pues sí, señores. Controles, vale, esto va por ratón. Muy bien, vale.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide.
Vale. Ya empezamos mal. Sí. Atrás, atrás, salir. Vale.
My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote the Stanley Parable.
Vale, vamos a empezar otra vez. Asegúrate que el sonido está activado. Controles. Esto va un poco a su ritmo, por lo que veo.
Hi there. Thank you very much for playing the Beginner's Guide.
Ajá.
My name is Davey Reedon. I wrote the Stanley Parable. And while that game tells a pretty absurd story, today I'm going to tell you about a series of events that happened between 2008 and 2011. We're going to look at the games made by a friend of mine named Coda. Now, these games mean a lot to me. I met Coda in early 2009 at a time when I was really struggling with some personal stuff, and his work pointed me in a very powerful direction. I found it to be a good reference point for the kinds of creative works that I wanted to make. So just to start you off, this is, I think, the first game he ever made. It's a level for Counter-Strike. You can walk around here, by the way. And mostly it's just Coda learning the basics of building a 3D environment. But what I like is that even though he starts from the simple aesthetic of a desert town, he then scatters these colorful abstract blobs and impossible floating crates around the level. And of course, it destroys the illusion that this actually is a desert town, and instead this level becomes a kind of calling card from its creator. It's like a reminder that this video game was constructed by a real person. And it kind of makes you wonder, what was going through his head as he was building this? This is what I like about all of Coda's games. I mean, not that they're all fascinating as games, but that they are all going to give us access to their creator. I want us to see past the games themselves. I want to get to know who this human being really is. And that's exactly what we're going to do here. So, it's 2008, Coda starts making these games, and he never releases any of them. He doesn't put them onto the internet, he just makes them and then immediately abandons them, and they sit on his computer forever. And I think he really understood this image of himself as a recluse. At one point he jokingly renamed his computer's recycling bin to Important Games Folder. So, you know, this was just how he worked. He tended to crank them out one after the other without even really pausing to try to understand what he had just made, until suddenly one day, he just stopped. In 2011, that was it. He made his last game, and then he hasn't made another one since. And that's why I've taken this opportunity to gather all of his work together, is because I find his games powerful and interesting, and I'd like this collection to reach him, to maybe encourage him to start creating again. And if the people like you who play this also happen to find his work interesting, then I'm sure it'll just send that much stronger of a message of encouragement to Coda. So thanks for joining me on this. If you have a particular interpretation that I haven't mentioned here, or if you just need to get in touch, you can email me at daveywreden@gmail.com. Okay, that's about it for introduction. Let's take a look at Coda's first proper game. As each game is loading, I'll show you the date that it was completed. This first one was made in November 2008.
Esto parece un documental. Otra vez dando vueltas. Que hay algo que me parece que no va bien. ¿Qué es lo que no está yendo bien? ¿Por qué estoy dando vueltas como un capullo? Ya me parecía, digo, me estaba mareando. No, era que el mando, que estaba pulsado. Por cierto, ¿el mando funciona? ¡Oh, el mando funciona! Ya está. ¡Wow! Oh, máquina de susurros activada.
This game is called Escape from Whisper, and it's one of the more generic games you'll see from Coda.
Uy. A ver por dónde nos vamos. Dios mío. ¿Qué es este sitio? ¿Qué es esto? Vamos a irnos de aquí.
Security call breached. Hostile alien life form inbound.
It kinda looks like this game was abandoned mid-development. For instance, you have this gun, which you'd think would indicate that there are supposed to be monsters or enemies somewhere, but then clearly there are no enemies anywhere. You can't even reload the gun when you run out of bullets. But ultimately we don't really know. Maybe Coda thought that actually it was complete the way that it is. And I think that we should talk about his games for what they are, rather than for what they're not.
Enemy force neutralized. Begin ship evacuation.
Vale, es por aquí.
I love how you can see the bottom of the universe from this room.
¡Ah! Dios mío, hay un fondo del universo, es cierto. Por cierto, este está un poco alto. Wow. Oh, vaya. Subtítulos, sí.
Apparently this space station has a labyrinth on it.
Oh, Dios mío. ¿Por qué?
Sure, I don't know. There's really no reason for it that I've ever been able to discern, so in the interest of time, I'm just gonna skip you on past it.
Ah, vale. Sí,
Okay,
es un
this is the
documental.
part that's interesting. The game has this narrative about the whisper machine and how it has to be turned off, and then you get to the engine room.
Hey, you there, in the engine room. You could save us all. That beam is powering the whisper machine. We could disrupt it by introducing a great enough heat signature. If your body could stop the beam. It's so much to ask, but for all of our lives, would you do it? Could you give yourself?
Let me pause here for a second. What you just experienced, stepping into the beam and then dying, is probably what Coda had initially intended when he was developing this level. But when he first compiles and plays it, something goes wrong. There's a bug somewhere. And this is what happens instead.
Vamos a ver. Oh, vaya. Oops. Vaya.
The beam causes you to start floating. And this is an important moment for him. Because yes, this is technically a glitch, but Coda identifies something human about it. Like how small it makes you feel in the face of this larger chaotic system. Or this floating could be the afterlife, a peaceful place, juxtaposed against all of the hysteria that you've just had to traverse. I don't even know. I have no idea what he was thinking, but what's clear is that after making this, something lodges itself in his brain. He wants to do more of these really weird and experimental designs. So he stops work on this and moves on to a stream of tiny little games that go in all sorts of directions. Let's go ahead and take a look at the first game he made after leaving this one behind. Yep, in this game you can only walk backwards.
No me digas. Oh, Dios. El pasado estaba detrás de ella. Oh, Dios mío. Esto es más indie que lo indie. Por Dios. Solo puedo ir hacia atrás.
So it's a short and relatively minimalist
Pero
experiment
el
combining
futuro
motion
no
and
se podía
narrative.
ver.
It is less advanced than the previous game, but actually it seems to be more focused,
¿No deja de
more
cambiar?
complete.
¿Por qué el
Code is
futuro?
trying to give it a unique voice rather than simply basing it on a pre-existing trope.
Y además el nivel va cambiando. Ah, cuando se detiene... Todo está claro. Cuando se detiene y mira. Pero si el futuro siempre está detrás de ella, ¿cómo encontrará la fuerza? Para enfrentarse a
It's a
él.
short little thought, it says what it wants to say, and then it ends. Didn't need anything more than that. Which to me is why it works, because it gets out quick. Okay, next one.
Oh, Dios mío. Niebla que te cagas. Ahora estás entrando.
And that's it. Okay, the meaning of this game
What?
won't be clear just yet. Please be patient with me for a few more games, and I promise you'll see what makes it interesting. Oftentimes, Coda would put bizarre titles like this one at the start of his games.
Tonterías en todas las direcciones.
I wish I'd known him at the time that he was making these early games. He would really only talk to me about his work as he was making it. Once he stopped work on a game, like, that was it. It was dead to him. And I don't agree with that at all, but what are you gonna do?
Guau. Vamos a ver, vamos a ver, vamos a ver. ¿Esto se acabará algún día? No, cada vez va más lento.
Once you've been slowed to an absolute crawl, the door at the top of the stairs opens. So why, if Coda's not showing these games to anyone, why bother opening the door at all? Well, to show you, I'm modifying the game here so that when you press the use key on your gamepad, it'll bring you back up to full speed so you can enter the door for yourself.
¿Qué es esto?
A room that's warm and nice and filled with little ideas for games.
Oh ya, es una puerta. Una serie de magníficos manuales. Viene con el juego de instrucciones y correctas.
Coda would often tell me that he didn't mind if people thought of him as cold or distant. He said that he knew that he was actually a vibrant and compassionate person, but that it takes time to really see that. It can be a very slow climb to get there.
Wow, pues señores, aquí yo lo paro. Porque esto tiene pinta de irse a extender como una peli, prácticamente. Y esto parece ser The Beginner's Guide. Es como una especie de viaje al interior de la mente de un diseñador chiflado. Espero que os haya gustado por lo menos estos 4 capítulos. Y nos vemos la próxima semana. Muchas gracias por seguirme y hasta la próxima.